Adding sparkle to champagne sales. Now this is thoughtful. Hello, I'm Trevor Lai in Shanghai. Building foreign wine and spirits brands in China is costly and complicated, and champagne is no exception. Sparkling wine from the top houses brings status, which helps drive sales at trendy nightclubs in Shanghai, but the champagne can't be savored over a long period of time like top-shelf cognac and whiskey, limiting its appeal for some affluent Chinese. China consumes less than 1% of total champagne exports, far below the US and the UK, and just 0.5% of the wine consumed in China is sparkling. Local consumers prefer still wine, especially red wine, over bubbly. But champagne makers still see China as a primary growth market, and we'll find out why this week on Thoughtful China. Today we're here talking with Didier Depond, president of Salon-Delamotte, about how important China has become for his business and how the top French houses are customizing their communication to appeal to Chinese palates. Didier, thanks for coming in and welcome to our studio.
My pleasure.
Let's talk numbers first. Champagne has in the past had a little bit of challenges in China in terms of educating the market and also establishing a foothold here compared to other spirits and wines. Talk to us about how important China is now for your brands and also for champagne as a whole.
Of course, champagne is a very important product in China, and China is a very important country for champagne. The global production in champagne is about today 320 million bottles. It's all the brands together. And for my brand, it's only 2% of my sales in the world. It's just the beginning. It's a new market for champagne. If you compare with a very mature market like UK market, it's about 37 million bottles every year of champagne, and for the Chinese market it's only 2 million bottles. It's just the beginning of this for China and champagne.
So there's a huge room for growth, obviously.
Of course.
And how long has your brands been in China?
Now, for Salon and for Delamotte, it's about 6 years.
6 years?
Yes.
And is this something that you see growing up to a certain point and then you want to cap it in terms of its representation of your global share?
Yes, but you know, for Salon and for Delamotte it's very special because the volume available are very, very small.
Give us a sense of how small.
Yes, because the production for Salon is only 60,000 bottles every 3 years. Because we don't produce every year this champagne. It's why it's the most exclusive champagne, but one of the most exclusive wine in the world. Salon is like an icon in the wine world, like Chateau Yquem or Chateau Petrus or Chateau Domaine La Romanée-Conti. It's very, very exclusive. And if you compare with a brand like Laurent Perrier, for example, Laurent Perrier it's 8 million bottles every year. Salon, it's only 60,000 bottles every 3 years, and Delamotte, it's only 800,000 bottles every year. And you know, it's very, very exclusive. And the champagne business is quite similar of the car business. In the street, there are million and million cars, and you can cross a lot of Mercedes, a lot of BMW, or Renault and Peugeot. And sometimes you cross Aston Martin or Lamborghini. And the champagne is quite similar.
So using that metaphor and taking it a bit further, we have seen cars such as Bentley and Aston Martin extend lower into the market. They have obviously the very high end, the 177 for Aston Martin, but they also have, you know, their DB9s and Vantages for the mass market. Is that an area of growth that perhaps you think in China eventually you would introduce more accessible? I know you have the non-vintage Delamottes, for example. Would you expand your product line to keep up with the growth or to help fuel
It's very difficult for me to increase the volume available, but Delamotte is already a very high level quality. And because in Europe or in Japan or in America, Delamotte is one of the best champagne. It's only for the 2 or 3 Michelin star restaurants, and it's not a cheap market. It's not a cheap product for it, sorry. And it's why, and Salon, of course, is really, really exceptional. It's only, for Salon, only 200 bottles available on this market.
So with that sort of exclusivity, of course, the other side of the coin is the fact that perhaps the name recognition is not out there as much, and it's perhaps not as easy to get everyone aware of the brands because there's so few of them available, especially here in this market. So how do you balance that as a brand owner?
In fact, on this market, I'm looking for only the best place, only the best restaurant, the best wine shop, and for the collectors. Collectors are always very, very interested by Salon and by Delamotte because they look for everywhere around the world 1 or 2 bottles of this champagne. And in all the auction, Salon is always the higher price for champagne.
So when you talk about the best restaurants or the best collectors in China, can you give us a sense of which cities within China that you know of where the brands are better known or have more collectors?
Of course, Shanghai, of course, Beijing, Guangzhou, and outside main China, Hong Kong and Macau are very, very important for the collectors.
And how did they hear about the brands in the first place, if they're local Chinese collectors?
Yes, of course.
So how did they hear about the brand in the first place?
It's maybe in America or in France. When they travel in Europe or in America, they find in the best restaurant and the best places. And the collectors are not only champagne collectors; they are also Burgundy and Bordeaux collectors. And in Bordeaux and in Burgundy, all the best chateaux use Salon or Delamotte for the aperitif.
Now, Chinese authorities recently named champagne as a sort of protected trademark. Mm-hmm. How important was that a step in terms of strengthening not only your brands, but also the industry as a whole?
First of all, thank you very much to the authorities. Thank you very much for the Chinese administration, because it's really perfect for us. It's because the authorities understand the quality of the champagne and the quality of the appellation. Appellation means the area where it's possible to produce champagne. And champagne is only from Champagne, only from France. The rest of the world produce very good, sometimes very good sparkling wine, but it's only sparkling wine. And it's very important for us now to be protected with the champagne brand, because champagne is a brand.
And was there, I mean, you talked at the outset about the fact that champagne as a brand and as a product category as a whole is really in its infancy in China. Was there, or is there a threat of local producers or non-official champagne producers actually using that brand?
No, honestly, there are no other official. Champagne is always official.
Sure.
If the champagne is from Champagne, from this very small area.
Yes.
It's only 30,000 hectares in Champagne where it's possible to produce champagne. The rest is sparkling wine, only sparkling wine. Sometimes it's possible to find good sparkling wine, maybe from China, maybe from Argentina, maybe from Australia or California, but Champagne will stay this very, very, very small and exclusive area in the world.
So the official recognition of the designation obviously is very important.
Of course.
And speaking of regulation, obviously over the past year, there has been more of a tightening around luxury gifting and corruption within various government categories. And I think luxury goods as a whole have taken a hit, but also lavish entertaining and dining, and that's often associated with higher end brands of wine and champagne, for example. Has that had any impact at all on your business?
Not really, because for us, for champagne, the big majority of the consumption of champagne, 80% certainly, maybe more, between 80 and 90% is on the on-trade or off-trade consumption. It's not really for the gift. Champagne is not a gift product. It's more, certainly more cognac or more red wine today in China. But for champagne, the consumption is in the restaurant, for the aperitif, for a party, for a wedding, but not for a gift.
Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll ask Didier how champagne's image in China has changed over the last few years.
Now, let's go!
Welcome back. Today in our studio, we're talking with Didier Depond, the president of Salon-Delamotte, about the growth of champagne in China. How often have you been visiting China?
Oh, today it's maybe 12 times, yes.
Okay, and every year you visit regularly at a specific time of year?
Yes, it's about twice a year now. And I just start to move my nephew in Hong Kong to visit the region for my brands.
So having traveled here so often, what are some of the biggest changes you've seen in the ways that Chinese consumers view and consume?
It's certainly the education for me. In 10 years, the last 10 years, the education of the people, of the Chinese people, to understand now the quality and to understand how all the effort we do to produce this type of wine. At the beginning, it was just sparkling. It was just for the bubbles. Now, everybody analyze the quality, analyze the wine, understand the difficulty to produce this type of product. Because, of course, it's a product, but it's a wine. Before to be a product, it's a wine.
Well, one of the common comments that are made about Chinese consumers is their infatuation with brands. So whether they look at Dom Perignon, for example, and when they're starting to be educated about newer brands or more exclusive brands, how do you differentiate or how do you talk to them about your brands in a way that's different and unique?
Yes, I said thank you to Dom Perignon to open the market. And with a brand like me, with very exclusive brand, we follow the way of all the big brands. And thank you very much. And we need to be very careful because, in fact, the volume available for me is very, very small, and we need to choose the place where we allocate the bottles. And of course, the potential of this market is huge. But I will go very step by step, slowly, but surely.
So controlled growth.
Of course, always.
And a partner you have found in this market to help you with that is Camus Cognac. Mm-hmm. Can you talk to us about how the relationship began and why you found that this was a partnership that would help you?
First of all, the relationship was a family relationship because Camus is a family company and we are still a family company. For me, I am the 12th generation in the company because the creation of Delamotte is 1760, was in 1760, 53 now, 53 years ago. And of course, Camus is very present on the market now for the last 25 years, I think. And it was evident for me to work with them because Cyril Camus is a very good friend of mine. And if you want a very strong distribution, you need in your portfolio a good cognac and a good champagne. And after, we can
build around that.
Build, exactly.
As a core.
Yeah.
Well, interestingly enough, Cyril obviously has been on our show as a guest, and I had the pleasure of speaking with him through a series of fireside chats. And he talked about building and maintaining a family business over, in his case, 5 generations or multiple generations. You talk about 12 generations.
Yes.
What is a secret, do you think, to being able to maintain that consistency and not have it, fall apart or have, within family rows and things like that?
In my case, in the case of my family, we are not crazy for the size of the company. We want to keep the company a family company. And we want to increase the quality, but not the volume. And every day, when I wake up, I said how I can do more on best for the quality of my wine and for the quality of my company. And it's very important for me to keep my team around me. I don't want 2,000 or 3,000 people in my company. I prefer to keep maybe 50 people, but very strong people.
Very close-knit.
Close people.
Close-knit, and they stay with the company
exactly.
for perhaps generations.
For more than 200 years, yes.
Now, looking ahead, what are some of the biggest challenges that you're thinking of or looking at over the horizon to building the Salon and Delamotte brands here?
The biggest challenge for us will be certainly to find the volume for the Chinese market. Because today, I said already 200 bottles for the Chinese market, but I know in 5 years, 10 years, we will need maybe 2,000 or maybe more, 5,000 bottles. And today, there are no bottles available for enough for this market. And, but we will find a solution, I promise you, for sure.
Didier, thanks for being on Thoughtful China.
Thank you very much, Trevor.
That wraps it up for today. Be sure to subscribe to us on Youku, Tudo, and YouTube. You can also follow us on Weibo and Twitter and join our LinkedIn group. We'll see you again.